The latest chapter of Welcome to Demon School Iruma Kun ended on a surprising note. If you haven't read the manga, please do not watch this video. Or you can if you want to. Can't really stop you. But in this video, I want to go over my theories for the next chapters that are coming and some theories that I want to talk about regarding this arc that I don't think haven't really been spoken about in this series yet. So let's go over it. No need to fear. I won't be talking about the theories that you've heard already. Like, people have been saying that Iruma will tell Opera to not continue the fight, or that Claire and Asmodeus would go on a mission to save Iruma after he gets deported, and Iruma will lose his memories and such. And of course, those are very likely to happen, with so much foreshadowing and such. But I want to go over some of my theories I came up with on my own that could happen, and the way the author of the series does, she always aims for the unexpected. So here's my guess on the unexpected. So if you haven't noticed, Iruma's ring has been missing for the past few chapters. I'm unaware if it came back in this recent chapter, but in this image that's showing on the screen, it shows that it's likely missing and hasn't returned, and it was very not seen in the past few chapters, so I'm going to stick with the assumption that the ring is gone, and it disappeared as soon as Iruma was captured. And that means Ali is missing as well. Long ago, before chapter 200, we learned that Ali is tied to the ring, so Ali can't go away from the ring. Not Iruma. Ali just can't be separated from the ring. He can go maybe 10 feet away from it, but he's still tied to it. So what if Ali took off the ring so he can go somewhere else? Of course, we know that the ring is tied to Iruma, so Ali was tied to Iruma. However, he gained some new powers from this. Whenever Iruma leveled up to level 5, he gained new powers. So what if, in a last resort, he was able to use up almost all of his mana to take the ring off Iruma to do something, a plan he has to save him. So, as we know, Ali can change forms. It's shown even in the anime, and the anime has hardly adapted any chapters that scratch the tip of the series. So, if he can change forms, that means hypothetically he could take the shape of a human and move freely if he had the power to. And in the manga, the moment he gets the power to be separated from the ring, he goes to visit someone. Who? I'm sure everyone has heard the theory that Ali is Demon King, and in the manga, it's practically confirmed that that's the former Demon King, and in the manga, it's practically confirmed that that is the case, as he can change forms into the Demon King, and his name, Ali Kured, is the same as Dracula backwards. So it's practically confirms that at least part of his soul, his essence, is inside the ring. So what if the form he changed into is Demon King? And in this chapter, whenever he was trying to leave, he was going to go claim the title as Demon King and transfer it to Iruma. But since he couldn't do that, he can't do that. But what if he was able to channel all his mana into getting the ring off of Iruma so that way he can take his form back and become Demon King once again. And then he could transfer the power if he really wanted to. So I have a theory that during this chapter, there's going to be in the middle of a fight or something, someone's going to come in running, a messenger perhaps, and say, "The Demon King is back," or something like that. And that's going to cause the entire fight to stop, as everyone is in shock. So if the Demon King's back, then I guess everyone has to go see him. And I think that is going to save Iruma. Because I don't feel like Nishi's going to have an entire chapters that's going to be predictable. What could happen is that the entire 13 crowns have to vote on Iruma, but that's too predictable. Because we already know that Iruma is incredibly likable. So he's likely going to win that vote if everyone has to vote. Or the chapter where he's back in the human world, that'll be incredibly difficult to execute and kind of predictable if it's not executed correctly. So what if, instead of Iruma's case, it puts on pause, because the Demon King is back. And the Demon King likes Iruma a lot. So that is one of the situations that I think could be executed in this upcoming arc. Whether it's the next chapter, it's the cliffhanger for this next chapter that comes out this Wednesday, or if it's in a few chapters that this happens. But I feel like this thing is going to be interrupted by another big giant event that I think is likely going to be the Demon King's return. And this is only one of my theories, and if my previous theory that I just talked about has already been discussed, or I am sorry, I guess, but I thought of it of my own mind, so nothing really you can do. But the next theory is going to conquer someone's bloodline ability, who we don't know, and this character is very prominent, and it's going to be very prominent in the upcoming chapters. In discussion threads, everyone seems to talk about what Asmodeus' bloodline ability is, but no one has really talked about what Appa's bloodline ability is. There's a lot of characters that don't have bloodline abilities, which is Alistair, the little lion, Asmodeus, and Appa. There's some other characters that don't have bloodline abilities, but those are the three most prominent. And I have a feeling that either Alistair or Appa, they're going to have a power related to time. The ability to freeze time. And I have a case for both of them. In Appa's case, her bloodline ability is either that she doesn't have one, because she's maybe a feline, a cat-like creature. It's even in the official book about them. In the book, Appa's ability just says, well, we don't know what her bloodline ability is. And I think it's being intentionally withheld. But I feel like with this ability, the ability to freeze time, it explains a lot of her, well, achievements. Of course, they don't really use that much. They don't really freeze time from what we could see. But it could make sense that they only use it during special occasions. However, during this arc, I don't know why they would freeze time to beat Nereus to the Pope. Because I feel like they would rather have the sickening defeat. If they could defeat the Border Patrol while they are conscious. So, it could be likely. But what if another member of the demon class has it? And that character, I think, is Alistair. He is kind of in the shadows. He's one of the least developed characters in this show, other than that owl. But he is very, well, we don't really know that much about him. Like, why is he even in the class? Why is he in the Misfit class? In my previous video on the series, I talked about he could be a spy sent here. If you want to know more on why I think Alistair is a spy, please watch my previous video. It's around the last third of the video, as the video wasn't entirely centered on Alistair being a spy. It was rather an analysis on the Misfit class, but did include aspects of that theory. So I suggest you watch that if you want to know more. So, and I want to mention that a lot of his, well, in the show and in the manga, he likes to observe. He likes to read books. He likes to, just be there. He likes to analyze and understand the moments. So, if we consider that part of his personality, maybe part of his family, his bloodline ability, then freezing time is perfect. He can freeze time and truly observe the moment. I also want to point out during the Harvest Festival, he moves quite fast through the words whenever he gets the vase. He moves very fast whenever he gets it to them. He gives pause time to set it up and such, which I feel like it makes sense for his character to be freeze time. And just imagine how cool it would be, like during mid-fight, Iruma is about to get damaged and everyone's like bloodied up or something. And then Alistair comes, freeze time, and makes eye contact with Iruma. That would be the best scene in the entire manga for me, personally. And that's my theory. Someone who we think, we don't know their bloodline ability, will have the ability to freeze time, which I think would be awesome. Of course, we don't know Asmodeus' bloodline ability, And, of course, it could be freezing time, but I don't think it's likely. Of course, it could be, and it's always a possibility, but it doesn't really make sense for his character. His mother has to do with lust, and he's kind of strong and stuff. And he always refrains from using his bloodline ability, which, of course, it could be the reason he doesn't use his pausing time ability because it may be cheating, but I don't think it really makes sense for his character. Freezing time, it wouldn't really be something to be embarrassed about. So, I don't really think it's Asmodeus's, but it could be. So, keep it in mind. Those are two of my original theories, but I also want to touch upon the theory that Iruma is going to ask Appa to stop the fight. Of course, that could happen, but I feel like if Iruma asked Appa to stop, then I feel like it kind of defies the entire part of his character evolution. Like recently in the chapter, whenever he made a selfish request to Asmodeus and Clara, asking them to look for him, I feel that was kind of selfish of him, and if he asked Appa to stop in the next chapter, Appa, please stop! I feel like that would kind of diminish the entire purpose of his character evolving. A lot of people have noticed that the two last chapters, please help me. What do those remind you of? Well, in one of the first few chapters, it's Iruma's words that he can't say no to. So, and the next chapter is theorized, or it could be, I beg of you. I didn't really officially check. But it's probably going to be, I beg of you. And I haven't really checked, so if it is or isn't, don't blame me. But it's probably going to be that. And if it is, I beg of you, Appa, please stop. I feel like that would diminish his character growth. Him not being selfish enough to ask people to get people to fight for him. It could be, I beg of you, Appa, please continue fighting. It could be that. Or it could be a bunch of his friends that come up and be like, I beg of you, please help me. Or something like that. Wait, I beg of you, please help me? Actually, that's actually genius. Because if he uses those 3 words that he used to be so subjective to and always have to say yes to other people as selfish, that's like the peak of selfishness for him. Of course, it's not really selfish in my definition, but it could be, please, I beg of you, help me. Oh my god, that's honestly genius. Well, that's my theories for this upcoming arc. Please leave your comments down below. And please, I hope you enjoyed this video. Well, comment down your theories down below. And bye. Not just Iruma,
and
but I think
also we don't really know
all
why
potential
he's
demon class candidates.
He's not really a problem to know,
and maybe something else, because I don't think it's
Sullivan
likely that he's
put him in a class,
just
but I don't really see
Iruma,
what Sullivan
as
sees
no
in
one
him.
really knew about him before
I think that
entrance
he's
ceremony.
one of the few students that Sullivan
But I
did not
think
put
his
in a
relationship
class.
with
I
Professor
think
Furcus
he's
very
sent
odd
to a spy
to kind of have one conversation, but he's like evolved that thing.
Grandson.
Like no one purposely.
So I think
to talk
if
with
anything, I don't
Professor
think he's going
doing
to be a
this
part
just because
of the 13 Crowns unless he has some actual serious character evolution. Of course he could, and he could be like a fallen hero who becomes a villain, who becomes like a savior and such. But in all seriousness, I think he's going to become like a villain, or he's going to betray a bunch of people. And maybe Omri is going to take a place and become, in her father's shoes, the next Border Patrol chief, and such as that. Another point I would like to add, unrelated to Alistair, is that I think the Demon King candidates also, not the Demon King candidates, I think that the great, 13 crowns, I think they all have the prophecy scroll. And I think that's what he did to create the next class of the Misfits. It's kind of odd that only the Demon King would have the prophecy scroll. And we all know the only reason he got the prophecy, Sabnok got to read the prophecy scroll, is because of his uncle, who is the 13th crown. However, other than that, no one else really knows it, and it's not public knowledge. So it's likely that crown candidates, they have a prophecy scroll. And I think Sullivan used this scroll to create the Misfit class. Well, in all, I hope you guys like this theory, and I'm sorry if I talk too fast or if it's a bit difficult to understand. But I think I'm going to do a video more in depth on some of the smaller theories I made in this video, especially on Alistair, because I feel like he's very sus. So I think I'm going to do a rewatch of the entire series and reread the manga to see if there's any scenes and stuff that I want to point out that can be helping to this theory. As I read the manga in one go, so I kind of forgot some bits of it. And it's been a while since I did a full rewatch of the anime, as I mainly just rewatch the episodes that I want to watch. Well, anyway, this is my Saturday theory, so I hope you guys enjoy, and bye!